Hello, students. Welcome back again. I hope you all are doing good at home. Today, we are going to start with chapter 4, that is planning. Let's begin. Students, before we start, let us revise some few elements that we have talked in our first chapter. See, students, in the first chapter, we have talked about the functions of management, right? The functions of management. Functions of management means the function or the work which all the managers have to perform. Okay, there are in total 5 functions of management that every manager has to perform. There are 5 functions that every manager performs. And what are those 5 functions? That is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. Okay, planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, these are the 5 functions which every managers have to perform. Like we have studied in the first chapter itself, there are 3 levels of management: first level, second level, third level. Means the top level, the middle level, and the lower level. So the managers of all the level, whether they are the managers of first level, or they are the managers of middle level, or they are the managers of the lower level, every managers has to perform all these 5 functions. Okay, all these 5 functions. And what are these 5 functions? You're planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. We are going to study about all these 5 functions in detail in separate chapters. Okay, so today we are going to begin with the first function of the management, that is planning. Let us start. See, the first topic is meaning of planning. Students, what do you understand by the term planning? What do you mean by planning? See, in all the organization, whether it is the government organization, or it is a private business, or a small businessman, okay, everybody require planning, right? Everybody require planning. All the businessmen have to think about future, right? All the businessmen have to think about future. They have to make some predictions about the future so that they can achieve their targets. Okay, they have to decide what to do, how to do, and when to do. Okay, so for all these purpose they require what? They require planning. For all this purpose they require planning. That is why, in the simple term, if we will try to understand what is the meaning of planning, then we can say planning is what? Planning can be defined as thinking in advance. Planning can be defined as thinking in advance what is to be done, when it is to be done, how it is to be done, and by whom it is to be done. So what is planning? Planning means to think in advance. Okay, means we need to think in advance what we need to do. Okay, means we have to make what? We have to make the preparation, or we have to make the goals, or we have to set the objectives for what? For our future. So that is why planning is something which involves thinking in advance. Means we have to think before we do. We have to prepare the plan in advance. That is why it is said that planning is a thinking process, and we have to think in advance. What we have to think? What is to be done means what is to be done, what work has to be done, when it is to be done means what will be the time of that work. Okay, how it is to be done means what process or what methods we are going to use to complete that work, and by whom it should be done, and who is going to do that activity or work. This all involves in the planning function. Okay, so what is the meaning of planning? Planning means thinking in advance. Okay, what is planning? Planning means thinking in advance what is to be done, when it is to be done, how it is to be done, and by whom it is to be done. Okay, what activity has to be performed, at what time it is going to be performed, and what are the process we are going to apply to complete that activity, and by whom the activity is going to be done. All these comprises of planning. Understood? Now, in the simple way, see, let us understand in the different sense what is the meaning of planning. See, planning bridges the gap. planning bridges the gap from where we are to where we want to go. Okay, so the planning bridges the gap from where we are, means where we are now, and where we want to go, and where we want to go in future. It bridges the gap, means it connects the 2 points. Okay, it removes the gap and it connects the 2 point. What is the 2 point? Our present status and our future status, means our present condition and our future condition. Planning is something which connects these two things. It connects our present situation or the present status with our future status. Okay, now planning says that it generally help us to connect, or it help us to reach from where to where we are now and where we want to go. Means where we are now, what is our present situation, what is our present condition, in which status we are, in which position we are. Okay, this shows our present status, and through the planning we try to reach to our future status, means where we want to go, at what position we are now, and what we want to achieve. That is our future status, the things we want to achieve, where we want to see ourselves in the future, where we want to go. Okay, so for that we require planning. Okay, from going from present to our future, we require what? We require planning. Okay, where we are and where we want to go. Okay, to reach there we require planning. That is why it is said that planning is what? It bridges the gap from where we are to where we want to go. Okay, it removes the gap and it connects our present status to our future status. With the help of the planning only, we are able to change our present status to our future status. Okay, where we are today and what are we going to achieve in our future. Okay, so in the simple way we will try to understand the meaning of planning. What is the planning? Planning means thinking in advance, means we have to think in advance, we have to think before doing. Okay, we have to think in advance what is to be done, when it is to be done, how it is to be done, and by whom it should be done. Plus, planning bridges the gap from where we are to where we want to go. Okay, and how we are going to achieve our future objectives. Okay, through planning only it is possible. Okay, now students, see, planning generally is done for a stipulated time period. Okay, this is the planning doesn't go endlessly. Okay, because we know that our future is uncertain. Okay, so generally the planning is done for some stipulated time period, for a fixed time period. Okay, so no business, like you very well know, no business can survive for very long, or no business can run very long, because the future is uncertain. That is why it is said that nobody knows for how long a business is going to run. That is why the planning cannot be made for the, like, planning cannot go endlessly, but it is for a fixed period of time. Okay, now let's move to the next topic, that is nature, features or characteristics of planning. Now we will try to understand what are the features, characteristics of planning. See, you can memorize the characteristics, features of planning by using this acronym, that is DCP of MP. Okay, now the first point is decision making. Second, planning is continuous process. Third, planning is pervasive. Fourth, planning is objective achievement. Planning is futuristic. Planning is mental exercise, and planning is a primary function. These are the 7 characteristics, features of planning. See, you can very well memorize this with the help of this acronym, DCP of MP. By using this acronym, you can very well memorize this characteristics, right? So these are the 7 characteristics of planning. Let us begin with the first characteristics of planning. The first one is planning involves decision making. Okay, planning involves decision making. Let us understand. Planning essentially involves choice from among various alternatives and activities. If there is only one possible course of action, there is no need for planning because there is no choice, right? See, when, like, suppose for example, if we are planning to do some activity, okay, so we should have the choice, okay, we should have the options, okay, what we need to do. Like for example, if we are trying to, like, if we are planning, okay, if we are planning to manufacture washing machine, okay, so we have two options. We can use method A also and we can use method B also, okay. There are two methods with us, means we have the choice here, we have the option here. We can either choose method 1, okay, to manufacture the washing machine, or we can choose method B, okay, method 2 to manufacture the washing machine. Means here we have the choice, okay. So in this we can do the planning, okay, we can choose the best option, okay. So that is why it is said that planning involves decision making, okay, in all the activity, okay, whatever activity we do in the organization, okay, in whatever activity we do, it involves choices. Means we have to make choices among alternatives, means we have to choose the best among all, and this way we decide what things we are going to apply, okay. So that is why it is said that planning involves decision making, because we have to decide which alternative or which options we are going to choose, and this helps us to carry out our planning. If there are no option, as it is said, there is no need to planning because there is no choice, okay. If there is only one possible course of action, if there is only one way, if there is only one method, there is no chance of planning regarding that particular alternative or that particular way, okay. So in this case there is no requirement of planning. If we have only one option, then there is no choice for choosing any alternative, okay. We have to go with that only, okay. But when we have the option, when we have the alternatives, okay, to carry out our activities, then planning helps us to decide what is best for us, okay. Now moving to the next point, that is planning is continuous, okay. The function of planning is continuous, as we have read in the first chapter, okay. The management is a continuous process because it goes on, it never stops. In the same way, plans are prepared for a specific period of time, as we have studied in the first slide only, that the plans are made for a fixed period of time, specific period of time. It may be for a month, it can be for a quarter, or can a year, okay. It can be for an year. At the end of that period, there is need for a new plan, okay. After that we need to make new plans, okay. We cannot make plan for the whole time, okay. Generally the plans are based on fixed period of time, and after the completion of that time we have to make new plans. So planning is what? Planning is continuous process, means after the completion of one plan we have to move towards next plan, and continuously we have to do the planning for our future, okay. That is why it is said that planning is a continuous process. Now next point, planning is pervasive. As we have already studied the meaning of pervasive, what do you mean by the word pervasive? Pervasive means universal, which is present everywhere, okay. So planning is also pervasive in nature, means planning is universal. How? Let us understand. See, planning is required at all the levels of management, as well as in all departments of the organization. It is not an exclusive function of top management only, okay. Planning is pervasive, means planning is universal. It is required at all the level of management, whether they are top level management, whether they are middle level management, or they are lower level management. All of them requires planning, means everybody has to do planning for carrying out their activity. Now every department has to carry out the planning for planning function, okay. Planning is not only the task of top level management, okay. Planning has to be done by all the level of management, and it has to be carried by all the departments also. Now moving to the next point, that is planning focuses on achieving objectives. See, planning has no meaning unless it contributes to the achievement of predetermined organizational goals, right? Planning has no meaning unless it contributes to the achievement of predetermined organizational goal. See, students, in an organization, the first thing a businessman do is what? The first thing a businessman does is it sets the objective. Okay, they set the objective, they set the target, they set their goals first, and then they go for the planning. Okay, then they do the planning to achieve their goals. Okay, what all things they have to do, how they are going to achieve the goals, for that they have to plan. Okay, so the first thing is to do what? The first thing is they set organizational goal, means the first thing is they set the objective, they set the goal, and to achieve that goal or to achieve that objective they do the planning. Okay, so planning should be made in such way that our goals can be achieved. Means planning is something, means planning focuses on achieving objective, means planning should be made in such a way, or the planning should be carried out in such a way that it helps us to achieve our organizational goal. Okay, that is why it is said planning has no meaning unless it contributes to the achievements of organization goals. Means planning should help us to achieve our organizational goal, otherwise it has no meaning. Now the next point is planning is futuristic. Futuristic means future. Okay, planning essentially involves looking ahead, preparing for the future. We never plan for the past, we always plan for our future. Okay, so that is why it is said that planning is what? Planning is looking ahead. We have to look further, we have to look front, we have to look ahead what is going to come. Okay, and we have to prepare for the future, right? Now planning is a mental exercise. See students, what is planning function? Planning means, we have studied in the first sentence only, we have to think, we have to think in advance. Think in advance means we have to think about various things, we have to think about various activities. Okay, means it is our mental exercise, means it is our mental activity, because we have to think, we have to do brainstorming, we have to think about everything. Okay, so it is the thinking work. Okay, it is the thinking function in which we require our mental. Okay, which require our mental ability. Okay, that is planning is mental exercise. That is why it is said that with the help of our mental ability we plan. Okay, we think for our future. So that is why it is known as a mental exercise. Planning requires application of the mind, because we have to use our mind and we have to apply our mind, our brain, involving foresight. We have to look in future what is going to happen, we should have that foresight, we should make assumption what is going to happen in future, and we have to think intelligently, and we have to imagine and make a good judgment about what are we going to do for our future. That is why we say that planning is a mental exercise, because we have to think for the future. Now next point is planning is a primary function of management. Primary function means it is the first function of the management. Okay, planning is known as the primary function of the management. Planning lays down the base for all other functions of management. Planning precedes other function. It means that planning function is the first function. After planning, the manager carry out organizing, staffing, directing and controlling function. Okay, so without planning function no other function can be carried out. Okay, so planning is the base for all other function, means the first function which a manager has to do is planning. Okay, without that planning the manager cannot move to the other functions. That is why it is said as the primary function, because it is the first function, and plus it is known as the base of all the function, because without that function no other function can be carried out. And all other functions means planning precedes other function, means all other functions comes after planning function. Understood? So here we have studied about the characteristics features of planning. Okay, we have understood the meaning of planning. Simple planning means to think in advance what we have to do. Okay, now characteristics features of planning. How is the planning? We have studied planning helps us in taking decisions. Planning is continuous process. Planning is pervasive, it is applied everywhere in all the level of management, all the department. Planning helps us to achieve our predetermined organizational goal. Planning is futuristic because we have to think for our future and we have to prepare for the future. Planning is a mental exercise because we have to apply our mind to make the plans. Plus primary planning is a primary function because it is the first function and it is the base for all the functions. So these are the characteristics features of planning. Okay, now we will move to our next topic, that is importance or significance of planning. You can memorize the importance or significance of planning by using this acronym, that is Dr. Sodhi. See, first is planning provides direction. Second, planning reduces the risk of uncertainty. Third, establishing standard of controlling. Fourth, reduces overlapping. Fifth, decision making. Sixth, promotes innovative ideas. It means that why planning is important to us, or why manager has to do the planning function, or why manager has to carry out the planning function, why it is important to do planning. Okay, because of all these reasons. Okay, we will study about all these points in detail. You can memorize the importance and significance of planning by using this acronym. Okay, Dr. Sodhi. Okay, Dr. Sodhi. Okay, Dr. D for direction, R for risk, S for standards, O for overlapping, D for decision, I for innovative. Okay, we require planning for what? We require planning for all these purpose because it gives us direction. Okay, it helps us to reduce the risk. Okay, it helps us to set the standards. It helps us to reduce the overlapping. It helps us to take the decisions, and plus it promotes innovative ideas. We will study all these points in detail. Let's start. The first point, that why planning is important. Planning provides direction. How? See, by stating in advance how the work is to be done, planning provides direction for action. If there was no planning, employees would be working in different direction and the organization would not be able to achieve its goal efficiently. Okay, as we have studied that planning helps in what? Planning helps in providing directions to the manager, means it provides directions to the managers. Okay, because in planning what we do, we plan for the future. Okay, it provides the clear sense of direction to the activities of the organization. Okay, by stating in advance how the work is to be done, because in planning what we do, we plan in advance, we think in advance how the work is to be done. Okay, so in this way we plan about everything in advance, so that is why it helps us to give us the direction for action. When we plan everything in advance, so we very well know that after one step what is the other step, because we have already planned for it. Okay, if we have not planned for it, then how we are going to perform the activity? So that is why planning, when we plan about things, then we know that after one activity what will be the other activity that we have to do, and this will help us to go in one direction. Okay, this will help us to go in one direction. That is why it is said that planning provides what? Planning provides direction. Okay, with the help of that all the employees would be working in the same direction. Okay, if there were no planning, then all the employees would be working in different direction, all will be doing different things because they are not going as per the plan. But if they will work as per the plan, then they will go in one direction only to achieve the goal efficiently, right? That is why planning is very essential, so that everybody can focus in one direction and go and work as per the plan. Now, moving to the next point, that is planning reduces the risk of uncertainty. We have studied about uncertainty, right? What do you mean by uncertainty? Uncertainty means the things which is not not sure. We are not sure of something. Uncertain, not sure, which is not fixed, that is uncertain. So planning reduces the risk of uncertainty. Okay, with the help of planning, the uncertain activities or the uncertain events, okay, the risk of uncertain events, the uncertain events, like we have already studied, students, as you all know that our future is uncertain, okay, and we do not know what is going to come in the next moment, okay. So for businessmen there is always a risk, okay, because the businessmen do not know what is going to come in near future. So there is always a risk, because they have to always look and they have to anticipate for the future, they have to look ahead, okay, and they have to reduce the risk of uncertainty. Means they have to reduce if they feel that any uncertain event is going to come. So with the help of the planning they can reduce the uncertainty. How? Let us see. Planning is an activity which enables a manager to look ahead, okay. Through planning, manager plans for the future, they look ahead, okay, and they plan for the future, and they anticipate changes, okay, by looking the future. Whatever the changes they feel, if they feel that it is risky to them, okay, if they feel that the future is not good, if it is risky and if it is not favorable for them, then they can change the plan, okay. So in that way, if they will change the plan, then the risk will be reduced. So that is why it is said that planning helps to reduce the risk, because in planning what we do, we think about future, we plan about our future, and when we plan about future, we have to see many upcoming events of the future, and if we see that the upcoming events are not safe for our business and which is not favorable for us, then we change the plans. That is why it is said that planning reduces the risk of uncertainty, okay. Now the next is planning establishes standards for controlling. How? See, planning provides the standards against which the actual performance can be measured and evaluated. Control is blind without planning. Thus, planning provides the basis for control. Students, we have studied there, like in the functions of management there are 5 functions, that is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. I told you that the planning function is what? The planning function is looking in like thinking in advance. We have to look for the future, we never plan for our past, we have to do the planning for our future, okay. But the last function is what? Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. Controlling is the last function. And what does controlling says? Controlling is generally, what is the controlling is generally what? Controlling is generally the measurement of the performance which we do now and which we have already actually anticipated. Like we measure our actual performance with our planned performance. Like I gave you the example, like we have planned to produce 100 washing machine in 1 month. We have planned, okay, the manager has planned to produce 100 washing machine in 1 month. But how many washing machine they produced? They produced 80 washing machine, okay. So the planning was to produce 100 washing machine, but actually how much they produced? 80 washing machine, okay. And then they compare the result, that what is the result for the deviation, how much difference is there? 20 difference is there. So they will find out what are the reasons for the deviations, okay. What is the reason that they could not achieve the target of producing 100 washing machine per month, okay. So here manager does what? In controlling, manager compares our previous result with our present result. Means whatever we have set the target previously, that target is compared to the present target what we have achieved. So controlling is what? Controlling is also backward looking, means we look back. Okay, we look back, and then we compare the result, what we have planned and what we actually achieved. That is controlling. Okay, then we look back, means we look back in our past. Okay, but in planning we do not look back at our past. That is why it is said that planning establishes standards for controlling. Okay, planning is what? Planning means to think in advance. Controlling means to compare the result of what we have actually planned and actually what we have achieved. Okay, so for setting the plans, okay, for setting the plans or setting the standards, okay, what we have to do for setting the objectives, we need to plan for that. That is why it is said that planning provides standards against the actual performance, means what is the actual performance can be measured and evaluated. Okay, means planning provide the standard against which the actual performance can be measured and evaluated. With the help of planning only, we can what? We can set the standards and we can measure the actual performance what we have performed now with the our predetermined targets. Okay, that is why it is said that control is blind without planning. Okay, control is blind without planning, thus planning provides the basis for control. It means that we require planning. We require planning for what? We require planning for measuring the performance. Okay, what we have actually achieved now, and what we have actually planned for. Okay, it helps us to measure. Okay, so students, do not get confused, it is very simple. Planning establishes standards for controlling, means planning establishes standards, means it helps us to, means planning helps to set standard, because it is the process to think in advance. Okay, so with that process, all the businessmen has to set some standard or set some objectives or goals for the future, and those goals and the future are then measured. Okay, and measured with the actual goals and objectives of the business what they have achieved. So for that we require planning, right? The next point is planning reduces wasteful activities. Students, as we know very well, if we will do everything as per the plans, okay, so in organization also, if the manager has made the plan, the employees are very well aware to do what they will go as per the plan. Okay, they will be knowing every information about doing the things. Okay, so in a way they do not lack any information. Okay, so they will be having every information because already the planning has been made. Okay, so the workers, the laborers, the employees, everybody know how to carry out the activities as per the plan, so there is no chance of any mistake. And if there will be no mistake, then there will be no chance of wastage of resources. Okay, let us see. Planning serves as a basis of coordinating the activities and efforts of different departments and individuals, whereby useless and redundant activities are reduced. Yes, that is the same thing like planning. See, when we plan about certain things, okay, planning reduces wasteful activity. It means that, see, planning serves as a basis for coordinating the activities and efforts of different departments. See, all the in an organization, the work are carried out together in team. Okay, all the department have to coordinate with each other. All the individuals have to coordinate with each other, and they have to work as per the plan. They have to work as per the plan, and everybody know what is their work, means what work is assigned to them, and there is no confusion. Okay, and there is no misunderstanding because already the planning is made and they are clear in thought. Okay, they are clear that what work is to be carried out, and the work will be carried out very smoothly without any interruption. So in this way, the useless activity which is not at all required can be reduced or eliminated, because everybody is going to do the work as per the plans, right? Now, the next point is planning facilitates decision making. Means planning helps the manager to look into the future. This only we have studied. The planning is what? The planning function means what? Planning means to plan for the future, to think for the future. Okay, so under planning, targets are laid down. The manager has to evaluate each alternative and select the most viable option, right? See, planning is what? Planning helps the manager to look into future and make choice from amongst various alternative course of action, right? Planning manager does what? They think in advance for the future, what is to be done, okay, what activities has to be carried out, and for those activities they generally what? They make choices, okay, they choose among different alternatives, and all the alternatives are then evaluated. They evaluate that which alternative is best for them to carry out that plan, okay. Now, moving to the next point, that is planning promotes innovative ideas. See, planning helps the manager to promote innovative ideas. How? Planning is the first function of management, that you all know. Managers get the opportunity to develop new ideas, and new ideas can shape can take the shape of concrete plans. See, students, planning is the first function of management. Since planning is the first function of management, new ideas can take up, okay, means the manager can take up or manager can think about new ideas, because it is the first step, okay. In this, the manager gets the fresh idea about about the activities, okay, what activities they have to perform. They get the fresh new ideas, okay. So this helps the management to guide for the future action, and in this way the business generally grow and prosper with the new and innovative ideas, right? So for these purpose, planning is very important. Planning is very important for the manager, because without planning the management cannot take corrective action. They have to do the planning, because it helps them to give the direction so that everybody move in one direction, their efforts are guided in one direction. If everybody work as per the plan, then they will obviously achieve the organizational goal by following one direction. Planning reduces the risk of uncertainty. It means that when we plan about things, we look for the future, and when we look future, then we try to find out what are the unfavorable events that can come to us, okay, and those events can be, or those things, or with the help of the planning we can change our activities if the future is not favorable for us. In this way we reduce the risk of uncertainty. Next is planning establishes standard for controlling. We all know that planning helps us to establish standard, means we set the standard, okay, we set the standard to achieve our goals, and those goals are then compared, okay, then those goals are compared with our actual performance, and then they are evaluated whether we are able to achieve our established goal or predetermined goal or not. That is why it is said that planning helps us to establish standards for controlling. Without control, means without planning, controlling is not possible. We have to plan for the activity. We have to make plans as how to achieve the standards, how to achieve the targets, and for that we have to do the planning, okay. And planning also reduces wasteful activities, as we have already studied that with the help of the planning, like every activities will be coordinated well, because the planning has been made in advance. Everybody knows how to perform their activities, workers, different managers, everybody knows the plan. There will be no confusion, there will be no misunderstanding. Planning has already been made, so the useless activity will be eliminated, okay. Plus planning facilitates decision making, means planning helps us in taking decision making, means planning helps the businessman to take decision making. How? In planning, generally planning is done for the future, and to carry out the activity, the manager don't stick to only one plan. Okay, the manager chooses various alternatives, and then he evaluate that what is the best option he can go with. Okay, so with that he decide, with the planning he decide that what is the best option to carry out the activity. Okay, now moving to the next point, that is planning promotes innovative ideas. Okay, with the planning, generally manager promotes innovative ideas. Okay, this was it. The next topic we'll cover in our next class. Thank you.